Hi there. In this video, we'll look at how you can use smart data extraction from the Apryse SDK to convert unstructured documents into structured data. This video is part of a longer webinar that discusses various use cases across a range of industries. If you'd like to see the full webinar, then please contact us. The Apryse SDK ships with a whole set of samples, available in a wide range of programming languages. This is the C++ sample solution, and within it we have various projects that reflect every single API that we have available to work with. We're going to take a closer look at the data extraction test project. This is the main function of the project, and we have 4 subroutines that each represent the various APIs that we have available in smart data extraction. We'll start off with test tabular data. This function takes an input PDF and outputs a JSON file. Let's take a look at the input PDF. It's a scientific report that includes a table with information about various soils. The Smart Data API will turn this into JSON, basically slicing up the document and intelligently adding data cells into the JSON file. Let's take a look at that JSON file which it creates. You can see that we have a number of table rows and that these contain various table data cells. We can also see what the content is of those cells, and every element has a rect object associated with it that indicates where it is on the page. So this may be a little hard to understand, so let's visualize it by annotating the original PDF. So we've taken the original PDF and added these rectangular annotations based on the JSON file, and you can see where every data cell has been recognized as its own individual element. These external paragraphs or headers have also been added as their own individual tables, showing that this API is more than just slicing up the document into accessible tabular data. Smart data extraction also allows us to export this data as Excel format, so let's take a look at that. You can see that all of the information that was in the original PDF has now been turned into a single spreadsheet. So if you're dealing with data that's very tabular in the PDF, and you need a quick way to get that information, you can use this API to slice and dice it up into tabular info. Let's look at some of the other APIs that we have available. Now, in addition to tabular data, we also have document structure. Document structure also takes an input PDF, and it also generates a JSON file, but this JSON file has a different structure. Now, this JSON describes the entire PDF in detail, outlining various objects such as paragraphs, graphics, headers and footers, table information, as well as images, lists, tables of contents, and so on. So let's take a look at the original PDF. This input document is a memo page attached to an invoice. The document's got lots of different kinds of content in it. There's a table, there's headers, there's paragraph text, there's a list item, and so on. Now let's look at the JSON file and see what we've extracted. Now this JSON describes in minute detail everything that was contained in the original PDF. So here we have a span, and we can see the actual text, as well as styling information, and of course the rectangle that indicates where it was on the page. So this was the first page that contained the memo information. If we scroll through this, then when we get to the second page, we've got a table. So here we have the table header, and within we have table cells, including the data on unit size and price, and the total, and so on. So as you can see with the JSON, if you iterate through it with your own JSON parser, you'll be able to pull out the various information from the original document. Let's take a look at what that looks like, annotated on the original document. So here's the original document, and all of these paragraphs have been annotated in green. This one single bullet list item has been annotated in grey. These headers have been annotated in yellow, and the table that was detected is annotated in red. So you can see with all this information and available in JSON, you can do whatever you need for your own extraction needs. Let's take a look at the next API available to us, form field detection. This one is a little different. We can take an input PDF, such as a scanned document or a static single flattened PDF, and we have AI algorithms that can detect where on that document there are logical fields, which we then use to make an interactive document or transform it into a web page or something like that. Once again, the input is a PDF and the output is JSON. Let's take a look at what the input PDF looks like. This is a PDF that's a flattened document of a form, so none of this is interactive or selectable, or editable for that matter. Now let's see what the JSON it creates looks like. You can see that we've detected that there are form fields at various locations, and since it is AI-based, there's a confidence level that there really are text fields with these rectangular coordinates on the page. Let's turn this into annotations so that we can better see them. Now we have these fields that were identified by AI. You can see that we've identified check marks, which are now shown in green, and these form fields that are indicated in blue. Now we also have an API that can directly turn this static document into an interactive PDF. Now we have one last API for us to look at, and that is our key value extraction. Key value extraction is also an AI-powered API, and once again it takes an input PDF and creates a JSON file. The JSON file contains well-paired information that was detected using computer vision. For example, if it was an identification document, we might find things like name, John Doe, date of birth, 1st of January, and so on. Let's look at this input invoice that we saw previously in an earlier document. It shows information about who things should be sent to, as well as the salesperson, the PO number. There's even a telephone number, also information about various line items, and also the subtotal, sales tax, shipping and handling, and the total amount. So let's see how that looks turned into JSON. Once again, because we're using AI, we have confidence intervals, and it suggests that we've detected some content here of 291, 555, 5555, and that the key was phone, and that relates to the phone number that we saw earlier. We also have dates. We also have information about Harry Styles and his address, which is the person that the invoice was being sent to. So let's annotate the PDF so we can better see what was found. We've marked the keys in red and the values in blue, and the green line shows the relationship between them. You can see the phone number and the to address. We can also see the various line items, and if we scroll down, we can also see that we have key value pairs for subtotal, sales tax, shipping, and the total due. So we have all of that information available in the JSON. It just requires parsing. And this just works straight out of the box. Smart Data Extraction hadn't seen this document before, and we didn't need to provide a template. It just found those key value pairs. And all of this is happening directly in the SDK, no matter where you deploy it. It doesn't depend on an external server or any sort of external dependencies. To run this, you just deploy it on your own machine, whether it's the cloud, a local machine, or a data server. Smart Data Extraction offers a way to get more value from your existing documents. Grab yourself a trial key and try it out for yourself. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you found it useful, click on subscribe and you'll hear when we release more videos. Catch you next time.